aside when we spoke. November 2016, we originally spoke of
that's right,
this
Chad.
idea. You're Whitmore, get in here. Are you ordering more pizza?
Okay.
Holy moly, I can't believe.
Always on this
How much pizza can one woman have?
No. Yeah, they're inside.
So yeah, I should say.
You can go on in.
Oh, yeah.
Go in, can I?
Yeah. Cool. The bar's open. So it's Surya. How do you pronounce your name?
Surya.
Surya.
Karen.
Karen. How do you pronounce Karen? Okay, I'll try to remember how to pronounce that.
And Jennifer.
And the beautiful Mark. So this November 2016, did you all know each other then? Was it all kind of at the beginning? Had you all sort of, I don't know, got a plan, or was it just a growth of getting more and more people? And
I suppose we called a meeting just of the whole Charlesland area to discuss security. So I suppose it was the first time a lot of us met each other at that stage.
Okay.
And it was to set up, I suppose, little street groups so that streets throughout Charlesland could start communicating with each other. And as a result of that, I suppose it grew into the park, the court, the grove and the wood, into the 4 quadrants. So this is the park getting Neighbourhood Watch, official Neighbourhood Watch status from.
Now obviously you want to get it done, everything to be, basically get the foundation right so it would work. So it's been a while now, it's been November, as I said, 2016. I mean, the biggest part of that was just getting the individuals, getting the word out. What was the biggest time consumption, do you think?
I suppose initially we needed to link everybody up. So the big thing on Neighbourhood Watch is that it's neighbours looking out for each other, watching each other. So as the groups developed, that interaction started to happen, neighbours started to get to know each other. So that was the first big success that we had. And then to move on the process, once the relationship was in place, was to get application forms out to get support from all the neighbours. So they just had to be handed out, signed and returned, and we needed a 60% return rate in order to achieve the status.
So like the initial thing was the street groups were based on WhatsApp groups. So one person would go out and get all the WhatsApp, the phone numbers.
The musicians are here, that's great.
from their neighbours. So it meant that actually people had to talk to each other and meet each other and and sort of start looking out for each other from that point really. And then if there was any issues, so if someone saw or heard something that was unusual, they would just go into the WhatsApp group and say, okay, someone's alarm is going, and then people would interact, and if they think that there was an issue, they could contact the guards, or sometimes they'd just sort of stick their head out the door and see if there really was a problem.
And
so that's the sort of stuff.
It seems to be very effective, just having that sort of technology now where we can connect to you. It's not like phoning Mary to tell John to try and find Mick in the office to tell him his alarm's gone off. That idea that we're all instantly connected is a huge plus in this sort of scenario, and I'm sure it's already had effects. I'm sure it's already kind of kicked in.
Yeah, I suppose one of the disadvantages in November 2016 in Charlesland was it was so big that it was easy for people to just wander in and around but it actually turned out to be one of our biggest advantages when we all connected, because when someone put up a message, there is always people at home in Charlesland. There's always people out walking their dogs, on a day's holidays, on maternity leave, stay-at-home moms, working from home. So as soon as a message went up, there was always someone within 10 or 15 houses of you that was there, stick their head out the door, see a van, becomes very uncomfortable, and people tended to leave.
How does it work for gossip? Is it good for gossip too? Are you allowed to?
No. This group's been strictly.
No. Okay, that's a different group. I hear about a group down here.
You have to curtail the gossip.
Yeah, we're trying to move the gossip to the street corners.
Away from the phones. Away from social media. So have you? I don't know if you guys have sort of noticed the effect already. I'm sure it just feels strong and feels better that that people are basically looking out for each other. That there is this sort of community. I don't know if you've noticed has it already kicked in, or do you feel we're ready now for anything that comes along?
At least it kicked in, and there's this sense of confidence first. Like if something would have happened, somebody would have seen it. So definitely it should be somewhere on the group, and at least in our streets what we've seen is if somebody has some issue, they've posted it immediately and people are fully aware of what's going on. Some people just walk out and have a look, just see things are okay. And some people, if they haven't locked their doors, they'll be careful. It's just alerting everybody ahead of time when something happens.
And looking out for each other as well.
Yeah.
Because I think these days and ages now that we don't look out for each other, whereas I think it's brought it back to the basics again. So we're bringing that caring back into the community.
And I've actually heard of 2 specific instances where the break-ins were happening.
All right.
Because neighbours chatted on the WhatsApp. They went out and disturbed them. So that, and that's just two that I had heard of, you know. So it definitely did work.
Right, right. So for those who I'm sure pretty much everybody in the state is aware of the actual, you know, what's involved. Is there a place they need to go or should go if they're not already connected? I would imagine pretty much everybody knows at this point.
Most people know at this stage, but I mean, my details are up on the Greystones guide. If anyone needs to contact me, isn't on the WhatsApp, and we can identify who their street leader is, and then they can get onto the relevant group for them.
Who designed the doors here, by the way? Do you know? Was it? Anyway.
Nama, I think.
So yeah, we'll have the links up there, and congratulations, because I know it takes a lot of effort. It's not like you know, simple texting or email.
No.
You've really got to go and make sure everybody knows what this is and how to connect to each other. So
and the lads here actually went out in order to get it to the official stage of having an official neighbourhood watch, you have to get everyone to sign a form.
Right.
So it went beyond the WhatsApp group to actually now we'll be launching the official one this evening. But the lads here went out to each and every door and got signatures.
Right.
Which is a huge job, you know.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic that they managed to do that.
And I think one of the biggest connections has been with Charlesland and our community police. I mean, Maria and JP have been fabulous. They've run a couple of policing, coffee mornings down in Tigernut there. They've run a few up here as well, which has really helped people interact and get to know their local community guard, and that has been a huge success.
And just to wrap it up, is it quite? I don't know if there's a lot of these kind of groups around, Greystone, Kilcool, Dalgany. Is it something that's just beginning to happen because it seems like a modern sort of a solution to an old problem?
I don't know whether the WhatsApp groups are. I know that there's certainly been a lot more. The Neighbourhood Watch are getting reinvigorated again. Like Kilcool had the beat on the street, and they have a big one for Kilcool. But from the WhatsApp group perspective, I don't think it has, but it's certainly something that I think is really worthwhile. And if anyone does have any concerns, it's very easy to set up amongst your own street,
Sure.
And then you can take it the next step and do the more formal approach with the guards.
Again, I suppose the thing will be just to let them, people like Maria and all that, just to sort of get advice on what's the best plan of action.
I mean, Maria and JP and all the community guards are fantastic, and they'll will always come out and chat and tell you how they can help, and even just give advice on how to keep your house safe. They're very, very good, really approachable, and they hold these coffee with a cop mornings every few weeks. And so you can go and chat with them. We'll also, in Dalgany they'll be holding ones in the Wicklow Arms. They have them in Kilcool, so they're all over the place, and they're absolutely very, very approachable, and they'll give loads of advice. So
Magic. And the gossip thing we can't really, we don't.
That's for another day.
Okay, we'll launch that next year.
We have to